The beautiful thing about self-publishing your book is that you have complete editorial control over it. It's also one of the main drawbacks because it's a lot of mental work and effort. But knowing you can update your book is great. But when should you? That's what we're going to talk about today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Mary Kate M.K. Williams. I'm an author and I love sharing my insights about all things books and publishing with you. Before I get into the details of today's topic, don't forget to hit subscribe. You'll be notified when I put out new videos each week about publishing, making a career, being an author, and how being a mompreneur. So today, let's dive into when you should revise your book or update it. Now, the first one is typos. I know that's something that just irks so many of us as readers and as authors. We work so hard on our books, and only the most stubborn typos are going to stay in there, and inevitably, we're going to find them as soon as we hit publish. That is the number one way to find them, honestly. You've read it a million times, you've proofed it, you've hired editors and proofreaders and beta readers, and your best friend to read it. And alas, that one typo is there. They just persist. They are stubborn. And lo and behold, you publish it, open your book, there it is. Awesome. So our instinct is to fix it right away. And if you can easily do that, if you have control over your files, go ahead. Unless you misspelled something to the point where it changes the meaning, let's collect these typos because I'm guessing that one stubborn typo might not be the only one. When you have maybe like 10 or 12, or maybe it's just been 5, but it's been 6 months and you haven't found any new ones, then go ahead and update it. Reupload. Fun. Do not update it 24 hours before launch and risk all your pre-orders being canceled. It's one little typo, okay? Update it after launch. I know, but don't risk losing all your pre-orders over it, okay? Don't be penny wise and pound foolish in that case, right? Like, I think that is aiming for perfectionism and missing the big picture of most readers are still going to enjoy your book. Most readers are not going to be turned off by this one stubborn typo. And most readers are not going to reorder your book if their pre-order is canceled. Okay. So don't mess that up. Books published by big 5 publishers, by really reputable indie presses, you know what? They have typos sometimes too. It's not the end of the world. Fix it later and move on. Okay. We want to do our best to avoid them, but collect them, update once, move on. Okay. The second time that I would recommend updating your books is if content is out of date or inaccurate. Now, this really applies to nonfiction books. Now, for my Author Your Ambition series of books, I decided I wanted to make them very tactical and really go into the minutia of self-publishing. But with that means the books are dated as soon as I hit publish, right? Because there's so much changing in self-publishing. Companies merge, they allow more formats, they reject formats. My books need to be updated. Now, I could probably update them once a month with new softwares and options. That would drive me crazy, especially trying to splice in like any audio edits. I do occasionally have to do a full overhaul, and I actually just did one this year. I have lots of videos about it. And I've always tried to err on the side of like update once, not all the time. So I actually have a list of it. Okay, these are the updates going on in the industry of new things that are allowed, new platforms, new programs, and I keep that. And then if I can update once a year, I will. I It's really tough for my sanity just to keep track of everything because some things have to be updated across multiple books. So if the information that's currently published shows fewer options than are currently available, okay, it's on the list. I'll update that later. If the information is now out of date to where I can say, okay, you cannot do this on this platform anymore, but my book says you can, I need to have that updated ASAP. So I've tried to make rules for myself as far as like, hey, this is actually going to give somebody less options because they think this is an option, but they're going to go online and now something different is available or no longer available. That's going to hurt them versus them thinking, well, I don't have this option here. And they go, do have this option. That's awesome. So I really wanted to make sure because there were mergers and then companies splitting off and things like that. Okay. Got to update it right away and did a full overhaul to the point that it's a new edition. I try to only do that once every 3 years. We'll see if I do it again in 3 years. It's a lot, but I had to fix it. So that's a really good time to fix something if it is out of date and flat out inaccurate. You don't want your name on something inaccurate. Another really great time to update your books is when you've earned enough to reinvest in improvements. Now, when I started out self publishing, I did not have a lot of funds to invest in my books. I did promise that I would reinvest my royalties to be able to improve them over time. So I've redone covers for Enemies of Peace, and now for the Author Your Ambition series, they were all originally DIY. They all look so much better. I've redone interior formatting. It is okay to relaunch your book with a new cover. It's okay to give them a second chance to find new readers that way, especially because we're self publishing. We do have that control to do that, but it's important that we go back and do that. Now, another time when it's good to update your book is when you realize that you need to. I am so proud of the authors who get feedback post publication on something and decide to make things right. So I've seen authors who had characters with disabilities who took critical feedback and said, yeah, I can definitely improve how this character is portrayed and be more true to life and less problematic. And I'm going to do that. Not all authors will do that, but I do really respect when authors do that and they make a point of saying, yep, I'm pulling this book. I'm going to republish it in a bit with this feedback. I think that's awesome. That's not easy to fess up to when we do something wrong. And I'm really proud of the authors who do that. It doesn't necessarily need to be that case as far as misrepresentation of different groups. For my book, Nail Biters, when I was writing Architects, I knew I wanted to narrate Nail Biters and I also had to go through rereading it. Great. I'm recording Nail Biters and I was like, wow. In 5 years, I had improved my writing skills so much and I had really good editorial feedback that I was like, I need to make this better. I can improve it. I will improve it. Just with stronger sentences, better descriptions, less repetition. I think it's just a smoother read. So for any of you who read Nail Biters back in 2015 when it was published, you can read it again. I think it's a bit better now. So I'm really glad that I fixed it. I rolled out a second edition with the first chapter of Architects in the back as a little preview. So why not make it better if you can? It was really exciting to have that opportunity, and also as an author, just to see my craft had grown to the point where I was like, no, I gotta put my hands in there and just fix it. So I was really happy with that. As I've talked about making changes and revisions, I have talked about new additions. Now, the general rule of thumb is that if 10% of the content has changed, that constitutes a new addition. A few typos, just update it with a fresh file. A new cover, a new chapter, heavily revised content, that might need a second edition. I have several videos on how to do a second edition, as well as my second editions checklist that you can check out to see, do you meet the criteria, and what you need to do to make sure your reviews port over. So have you been thinking about updating a book that you have out? Have you been putting it off? Is there something that you think needs to be revised? Let's drop some comments below. We'll keep the conversation going. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, or maybe hit the thanks button. That tells YouTube you got value from this information, and then they can get it in front of other authors like us. And you can get back to writing your book.